The Mozambican opposition party, Podemos, claims that 24 people have been killed and over 100 people arrested in post-election protests. Podemos President Dr Albino Forquilha says the protests are happening because people are convinced that the elections were rigged, allowing President Filipe Nyusi's Frelimo party to win. Let's get the latest from Mozambique, and for that we're joined by Juniour Khumalo, who is inside the country, and Nqobile Madlala, who is at the border. Perhaps, Nqobile, we start with you, an update. The border post was closed, in fact was closed twice. What's the current status of the Libombo border post?
Well, at the moment, Naledi, it has officially opened, but partially, not completely opened. So at the moment, it is open for the movement of people, especially those that have been wanting to go home, that have been stuck on the side of South Africa. We understand that there's been a lot of people that needed to basically go buy food in South Africa. You'll remember that we are at the cross-border community. The cross-border community means they rely on each other. So there's some people that need to buy food on the other side of South Africa, but also some people that basically work on the side of South Africa as well as be able to stock up and sell at home. So those people have been opened up for. We know a lot of them in the morning were being chased away by the police because they were in their taxis trying to get in when the border was still closed. And we saw a bit of desperation when they then decided to now take a back route in, and we had soldiers or SANDF dealing with that. Now those people have been able to be given a chance to now go home. But equally so, we've had some of the South Africans that were stuck on the other side, which we saw being assisted by BMA. This was earlier on. But also you must understand that this is also business. For a lot of people who have things like long-distance taxis, those were still stuck, and they've spoken about the fact that they've lost quite a lot of money with no movement in between the borders. So now we have seen some of them driving in and out, and that's the movement of people. The one thing that doesn't move at this very moment is the cargo, and that cargo is coming from South Africa into Mozambique, and we understand that they're supposed to be going into the harbor, and that cargo is still on a standstill. This is just to ensure that there's safety first, and that also at the same time that the people in Mozambique, so those officials are still working on Kilometer 4. Now, Kilometer 4 is where they process these cargoes, and they're able to do checks and balances, really. So that area, we understand that was vandalized, so that is not yet moving. However, the trucks that are from South Africa that are still in Mozambique or were in Mozambique have been given a right to come back home. So that was open for them to be able to be processed, but these are trucks that were empty. Now, much of the issue on Kilometer 4 is that when there was the infrastructure that was being vandalized, at the same time there were some of the trucks that were being looted, that were moving in between. So that is also still part of the negotiations in terms of how people are going to be assisted. We understand that from the Deputy Minister of Transport from Mozambique, he's been going up and down just to ensure that they do proper inspection, and he said to us that he wants to make sure that they have the cargo moving as soon as possible.
Nqobile Madlala keeping a close eye for us on the Libombo border post. But we do have Juniour Khumalo, who is inside Mozambique. Juniour, a good evening to you. I know that you certainly did speak to the leader of Podemos today, but what's the situation looking like on the ground as that sun does set on the country?
We indeed did speak to the leader of Podemos earlier today, and he also did suggest that they were still not sure in terms of the numbers of the individuals that have lost their lives in the country, but he gave us a figure that he thought was a more accurate reflection of what has happened. He said, according to his party, they believe that there are about 24 individuals that have lost their lives, but that figure has also been disputed by some civil society organizations. The Human Rights Watch has claimed that there are about 30 individuals actually that have lost their lives, as well as the Center for Democracy and Human Rights. They believe that there are about 34 individuals that have actually lost their lives. So the number seems like it keeps rising. But today, following those protests that happened yesterday, today there were actually no protests. We did not witness any protest, at least where we are. And we did see a lot of people actually trying to pick up the pieces from that mass protest that happened yesterday. So there was a lot of cleaning up from law enforcement officials, as some of these areas had actually experienced a lot of violence, with some of the cars being bent on the street, as well as some of the rubbles as well that had been put in the streets, basically to blockade the area. So those were being cleaned up by some of the law enforcement officials. But going back to that conversation that we had with the Podemos leader, he indicated that they would continue with the nationwide protest until there was a resolution to this issue. They are saying that they do not believe that the Electoral Commission of Mozambique is capable to be free and fair, as some of the individuals that actually sit in that commission are members of the party Frelimo that has actually been declared as the winners of this election, Naledi.
Very, very interesting. And of course, so we're going to be keeping a close eye on things as they develop there in Mozambique and at the border with the country. Nqobile Madlala watching things for us, and Juniour Khumalo inside Moz.